Yeah, let's get started. Welcome everybody, and thanks for joining. How we're all doing?
Very good, Mango. Very good.
Nice. Same here, same here. Let's see. Yeah, quickly. Actually, before going over the agenda, I noticed Felix put out a D-work task for joining this exact meeting, which we're all invited to join and apply work, commenting something like "I was here" or anything similar. This will get you 100 Jimbles.
Or be constructive and at the end of meeting, type what you learned.
That would be even better. Yes, absolutely. Nice. Yeah, for completeness sake, can put the link in chat. Actually, I'm too late. Felix already did. Nice, awesome. Cool. So yeah, if you want to do indicate that you joined this meeting. I'll quickly touch on the agenda, which is yeah, pretty much the same structure as the last couple of meetings. It would be first checking in on the work groups, the Process Guild and the podcast work group. And then it would we'll touch on the tasks and rewards for a little bit, a small update there. And then we'll have some space for open round. Anything else we should be having on the agenda? Can also bring it up later during the open round, of course. Right. Let's see. Yeah, I just saw you post, Julian. The second episode of the podcast is actually live now. Yeah, I would recommend everybody to check it out. I did have a small preview, and it's yeah, it's nice. I can really recommend.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I'm thinking a lot about it, and I know we were talking about how often we wanted to post everything, and I really think the more I think about it, I'd like to try to do at least something every week. I just think it's a good kind of bar to set, and then depending on how what kind of guests I can get to come in, maybe we'll have to change it up a little bit or have certain intermittent episodes be just about something different. But I think I could probably just figure something out on the fly if that comes to be. And I was hoping to get a little bit ahead of everything with like kind of a backlog, but that's just not what's happened. So I would still like to try this as it is. Like I said, we did these interviews like before we even Peter and I went on vacation, at the end of August or the end of July, beginning of August. So it's like, I just think it'll be good to have that, the pressure of that kind of a good pressure of setting that standard. And I really like, obviously we've only done a couple episodes, but I've since like refined the questions that I've been talking with Jasmine Smith from Rejuve and the CEO there, and I just really like the process of kind of coming up with the questions. And just it's pretty kind of scary to do it, because you're interviewing these people, you have respect for them, and it's like there's some amount of pressure that comes with that, but I like it. And I think I would rather put my energy into focusing on trying to do like an episode a week. I think that's something I think that we could, I don't know. I don't want to get too far ahead of it and say it's definitely how it's always going to be forever, but that's what the goal is at this point for me. So yeah, so that's basically where I just decided, let's go for it. I posted last Tuesday, let's do this Tuesday. And at this point I have all my questions ready for Jasmine. So I'm just waiting on a confirmation when she can do it, or she's kind of like was wondering what exactly is this? You know, is it? I think she was wondering, is this just going to be questions about specifically Rejuve? And that's not really the only thing I want to do in the interviews. I want to kind of highlight the person and highlight just more than just Rejuve. Obviously, it's really important to highlight that, but I like trying to weave in, you know, the questions into like a story of like an episode about their life and where they came to this, and like the broader meanings that they have that bring them here and bring us all together here. And so, yeah, I think she's obviously we had a Labor Day vacation, you know, weekend in America. I think she lives like, I don't know, like on the West, is it the West Coast or Hawaii or something in America? So she probably had a good long weekend and we're just back into Monday, but we'll see. I don't want to, I told her, you know, we don't have to do a specific amount of time. I have a bunch of questions, so probably last us an hour, but if she doesn't want to do that because timing or whatever, but yeah, so we'll just, that's basically where I'm at there. And then if for some reason she has to push it for like another week or two or doesn't want to do it, then I'll have to pivot. And I know you gave me that that one person that you had in mind from AGI 22 that you have the video that you sent me, so like I'll have to pivot and try to get another interview over the next week, or just do like a, I still haven't actually posted any of the videos, like the writing or the speaking that I did about the ambassador program and like about the podcast and like what the meaning. I spend a good amount of time making those, and I haven't been able to fit those in anywhere yet. So those are there. But yeah, I would encourage you guys to take a look and see. This one's a lot better, higher quality than the first. I got a special, you know, this special podcast software for this interview, and it just, the production quality is a lot better, I think, on this, and it should really make it. I mean, I know a lot of people listen, but like I was telling with Jan and Peter, supposedly the newest information coming out is actually more people are listening to or listening/watching podcasts on YouTube, which it used to be like 5-10 years ago. It's forever. It was always, you know, iTunes and whatever these other platforms are just listening, but it's actually supposedly flipped over the last couple of years. So video, I like when people have videos at least as a reference point for them. It doesn't have to be the highest quality, but yeah, so it's up there on the channel, and let me know your feedback on it and we'll keep going.
Yeah, good stuff. Would there be any help you could use right now? Anything specific?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't really know exactly. I mean, maybe posting like shorter clips and stuff like that onto some of the platforms might be good, because I've been thinking, I know I get a certain allotted extra amount every month, like the 2,500, and I've been thinking about how to use that yet, and I just haven't found a good way to use it yet. So I know we had talked about kind of banking it until we have something good for it, but if there's something that comes up that I feel like, you know, could be useful, I'm down to use it whenever. But at this point, I've just been focusing on trying to get the episodes out, and I haven't thought as much about that. But I would like for that to be a thing that we do, because I want to encourage other people to come help, and I obviously could use help. I'm just trying to think, because I'm kind of like a bit of a control freak when it comes to this stuff, so I don't want to but I also want to share and everything, but I don't want to sort of make all these promises to someone and then feel like after the fact I'm like, oh, I'd rather do this specific part myself. So that's where I want to take the time to think about it a little bit, I guess. But yeah, it's just off the top of my head, maybe one thing I'd like to do is start putting sections of the episodes into shorts, because I just think it's good. It's a nice way to highlight a little part of the episode. On top of that, YouTube shorts are absolutely blowing up. Supposedly, like 2/3 of the content now that's watched on YouTube is short videos, which is pretty amazing considering they're only like a year old. But that's just the format that everybody uses now, from TikTok and Instagram Reels. And so, yeah, that's definitely something that I want to do. I would definitely want to have a say in that, at least as because the parts that, I know certain parts that I like and want to use, but obviously if someone else wanted to come in and help and thought, oh, I like this part here, then I'm open to that as well. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think I would want to take a little time to think about exactly where that would fit in, but I'm open to other people if, what we're doing is basically doing interviews on a weekly basis with these different people in the community as far as projects, and it's open-ended. So if somebody had some ideas, I'm definitely open, and I don't want to seem like I'm completely closed off to stuff. I'm just, I have a good idea of what I want to see, so that's the only thing. It's not like I don't want any help and I'm not open to anything. It's just that's kind of like where I'm trying to loosen up that kind of attitude just in life, because sometimes that can be detrimental. So that's just where I'm coming from.
Oh, that's clear. That's clear. No worries there. Yeah, I assume a decent spot for that would be joining in on the meetings, and I figured basically the slots at Monday and Friday, the 11 UTC, top of mind, that didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I'm thinking, we were talking a little bit, Peter and I, about, I think once a week for now is good. I don't think twice a week is really necessary at this point, and I'd like to do it later in the day. And I know it's tough because everybody is mostly in Europe, or so it's like that's difficult. But I basically like to go as late in the day, because late in the day, by the time I hit like noon, my time, it's already, for a lot of you guys, it's already like 4 to 6 hours ahead of time. So I may only be able to push it realistically to like maybe noon my time, which would be like 4, which would be, hold on, noon is 12, so that would be what, 16 UTC. I mean, I was hoping to push it maybe even later than that, but I just don't think it's realistic to be able to do that and also allow for like the large swath of, European engagement that we have from the community and from you guys. So I wanted to talk about that, but that's what I was thinking. I think Friday is a good day. I like Fridays, and basically if we could, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it has to be Friday, but that's where I wanted to at least start. But later in the day, for sure.
Well, I have to say, from a personal point of view at least, Friday, when it starts to hit like 6 UTC or 4 UTC, that's like 6 p.m. local time here, and then, weekend starts to pop up and
to roll in, yeah.
potentially intervene with plans.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, generally speaking, I'm completely fine with 16 or 18 UTC. But Friday is not quite the best day for that, I feel.
Okay.
But then again, it shouldn't depend on me. But yeah, so I guess those interested to figure that out on the Discord channel might be the most straightforward. We can do it right now if there's people with input. But since not everybody's here, I think we're
on Fridays, like could you do like of 16? You said 16 is where it's, because 16 UTC, you're 6 hours ahead of me basically. So if it's 12 p.m. here, you're 2 hours ahead of along the day than UTC time, Pete. Okay. Yep. So that's tough.
Yeah, but at the same time, this meeting also started at 18 UTC.
Yeah.
For weekdays, it's quite fine.
Different day, yeah. Different day.
The Friday was like, in that way, not really a weekday.
Mhm.
For the evening part, at least.
What if we did Monday? What if we did Mondays at like whatever time? I mean, is a similar time on Mondays, somewhere between 16 and 18 UTC on Mondays work? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, no problem.
Okay. All right.
What you could do is, like what I put in the main ambassador chat, like if you list a bunch of time slots, Jan also did this before for figuring out the time slot, or for the topics, like you put a bunch of emoticons at the bottom and then people can click. It's a somewhat gay-ish way of
I mean, it works.
Luxury, but
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so we'll get a basic idea of it, and then I'll do that, a similar format in there. We can see what transpires.
If you want to do a vote, there's also a poll function right now on Sway, which is new, and you could use that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't used Sway much, but I have been there a bit from the deep funding proposals and stuff. So.
yeah, up to you, as you wish. I think I would say it's safe to assume that most people in the ambassador program also have a Sway account, or it's pretty easy to set up, so that's but as you prefer. So for now, that remains a bit to be continued.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you just mentioned there is a poll function on the SWAT platform now.
I didn't hear that one. I'm sorry, Felix.
Jan mentioned that there is a poll function on the Deep Fund SWAT platform now.
Mhm.
Where can I find? Where does one find it?
Well, it's an admin function, so I would have to publish it. Not sure if there's any poll published. I tried it a week ago or something, but something wasn't quite clear, and there was an issue. I couldn't, when it's published, I can't change it anymore, which makes some sense. So I plan to do it in one of the next meetings when we need to choose a topic again. But at least the functionality is there for anybody to use.
Yeah, awesome. Welcome, Architect. Thanks for joining.
I found it on the left top corner. There is a create a new proposal or create a new poll. You mean that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next topic. We can always cycle return back here if we want to later on. Yeah, I want to touch shortly on the translations. We were earlier today. We were having a discussion with Ivo and Ian in light of the Process Guild, and Eric as well. Basically, the consideration was to explore a little bit more on how to perhaps create almost like an translation role level, so that people who consistently translate with high quality and without any issues, they would get like a little bump in their role, and that would, let's say if somebody translated perfectly fine for 5 or X amount of time to be determined, that we could roll out the, we can either skip the verification at some point, or we can tie it to this role that people can move their own tasks through the D-work board. So it wouldn't be depending on, well, in this case, me clicking a button like, yes, this is a translation, it can be verified now. But to retain a little bit of control there, I think it would be okay to tie that to a a level of translator. So I don't know, somebody just starting out wouldn't have full control over the dework board. But yeah, after a while, if you contribute, you would get a bump, and then you can control the board. Just wanted to touch on that quickly. And then on the process guild, yeah, like I mentioned, we had a call earlier today, and also we had a call, me, Felix, and Ian yesterday, which kind of shifted into a little bit of a process guild kind of type of meeting. I guess, Felix, would it make sense for you to present or discuss or talk about this topic?
Mm-hmm. And like I said, my idea was to present already the rough outlines here, get the feedback already, and then bring it maybe also tomorrow in the governance call, getting a feedback there. Main idea is to say, take an example how Catalyst community structures in this local town halls. We have local town halls based on time zones and local languages and cultures to include them into a global ecosystem. The idea there then is to say, to start a first pilot of an ambassador's onboarding course, selecting one person from Middle East, from Africa, and from East Asia, onboarding them, but much more in a project progress like teach the teachers. So to know, okay, when we want to have ambassadors, what do they actually have to learn? How does the process look like to become an ambassador? So really focusing on this process and having it as a very first pilot. And then to say also to make the ambassadors somehow independent group, and to say that the funds are not only coming from the SingularityNET Foundation, but that the ambassadors could be able to submit proposals at Deep Fund, for example, asking for budgets there to building up the community and having the community approval in the actions. So it's not a top-down decision from the foundation then, but a community-approved activity. And like this, having the ambassadors since the beginning very close already to the community, which then brings us to the topic of the pools, which are currently defined as well in the governance expert group there. Say, could there be then maybe your own dedicated pool, for example, let's call it community and outreach, in which the ambassadors, but it's not exclusive for ambassadors, but a general for community builders, to say, okay, this is a pool or category where you can apply for resources then. And I think that's it as a really brief sum up, short wrap up. I think it goes into against one initial outcome of the governance expert group, because that was, I think it was kind of agreed on that we don't want to add new pools. Rather, I'm not exactly sure about this, but now somehow because the test proposal idea was then as well to set up pool proposals, test proposals. But maybe Jan, yeah, you can elaborate on this one.
I will call them governance proposals unless somebody comes up with a better idea, the current thing that we're doing. So we don't want to, that questions and answers that we're thinking about right now, we don't want to categorize those, so it's just one box. But for the next actual round 2, we haven't decided anything on pools or whatever. And actually that would be a good, interesting discussion point for the community to have their input. But yeah, you know, last round there were 2 pools that were somehow aligned to what you're saying. And one is a pool for anyone who would like to help create tooling for the platform as such. And the other pool was for anybody who would like to do marketing related tasks. So it doesn't all have to go around, be around and about services. And I can imagine that we somehow have another pool or combine them or whatever for tasks that are not marketing, not tooling, but do have a benefit for SingularityNET in some way. As long as we put it up for a vote, yeah, that would be okay, I think. And then the question is, which type of things are better kept in the ambassador program, and which things are better proposed for a community vote. So it will have to do something with the size or the impact of the task. But I'm open to the suggestion. Actually, you could make a good governance proposal out of that.
That was one of the main thoughts as we agreed last Wednesday. We said, okay, we set up already some test proposals for the voting
Yeah.
and say, cool, then maybe submitting a draft there. I just put a link in the live chat as well.
I think key here would be to give some examples of the kind of tasks that would be in such a pool. And that way maybe we can think about what the scope of such a pool would be, or whether it should be combined with marketing or with something else. Or actually, if I'm making it a little bit more precise, in the last round we had these 4 options for proposals, but we didn't split them in pools. But in my mind, for the next round, I was thinking that we should put them in pools, because that will make it much clearer if a proposal follows the rules or not. And that way we can also assign a maximum amount of wards to a certain pool. So we can say ambassador-like tasks, if you want to it, we will assign a limited amount of funding, and that can be distributed over those tasks, so that it won't cannibalize all the regular proposals.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be super interesting to have a community opinion through voting on that.
All right, well, go for it and make. We're still open right now for example proposals. Tivo got a shot, but not yet successful. I created one today, but it would be good to have 1 or 2 more. And then after, when we go public with this whole thing, then you still have the option to make as many governance proposals as you like. Go for it.
Awesome. Let's see. Just gonna move on for making sure we get through the agenda. Not that it's that much remaining, but it's always better to have it finished and then have the open part. I quickly wanted to basically we did through Discord. We established for Tuesday 10 UTC as a meeting time for this week, and I'm kind of inclined to simply pick that same time slot for next week, just to keep it a bit simple. So unless there's people arguing very strongly against that, for the Process Guild it will be Tuesday 10 UTC.
Yes, I can do that.
All right. Then onto the tasks. I did clean up D-work a little bit. At the same time, I did not get to adding new translation tasks yet. So right now there's nothing, no submissions pending and nothing in review. It's all approved. And yeah, next step still is to add these additional articles. Then on what we discussed last week on Reddit activity, that so far seems like it didn't get much / any traction, which is completely fine. It was just a random idea I had.
And I did post about the podcast. I was having issues actually. I've never really used Reddit before, but I kept posting the link for the video in the description on the front, but every time I would post it, I posted it like 3 times and it wouldn't tell me what was happening, but it told me that the moderators had removed it like instantly as soon as I posted it. And then finally I put the link for the video in the photo in the media like tab. If you look when you're posting, like there's a bunch of different tabs, and so I put the link only in the media tab and the description for the episode and stuff and whatever in the beginning, like part where it's just any sort of writing, and that seemed to work. I don't know, I wanted to mention that because I know you said to let you know if we had any issues with it, and yeah, there was some issues there, but I think the final post supposedly went up. It didn't say it didn't say, and I looked and it looks like it was, I looked like the next day or the day after and it was up. It looked like it was there with the final post. So I guess I'm assuming that was what it was, is that like you're not supposed to post the link for the video in the non-media tab.
Fair, that could very well be, but to be completely frank, I don't see it on there right now. But maybe that's something to dive into outside of this meeting.
I don't know.
Weird.
Like I said, yeah, I did it like 4 times, and the 4th time it actually worked, so it should be there. I don't know. I'm sure I can find it. I found it on my, because I have the app on my phone, and I saw it on I saw it there the next day, so I don't know. Maybe it got taken down as well, but yeah, we'll have to see.
I will put a reminder to myself to do another attempt at gaining ownership of that subreddit, but yeah, so far no luck.
Okay, cool.
Because if it's getting manually removed, that's just nonsense.
Didn't seem like it did, because it was instantaneously saying that it was removed by the moderator, so it was like I had triggered something like based off of the posts, you know what I mean? There wouldn't have been any time for anyone to actually to have done it manually, so it was something I was triggering. It must have been something I was doing wrong, but yeah, it just didn't actually specify as to what it was. It just said your video has been removed by the moderators.
Yeah, clear. Okay. Then on the rewards for August, they haven't been sent yet, although it's the 6th of September currently. This is a priority for me. However, there's a bit of a change in the process going on of how this is being done, and I will get control over the wallet so I can do the distributions manually. This is, however, not completely set up right now. So I think I'll just do once more, do the request it to be sent, just to make sure it's actually happening quickly. Just wanted to mention that. Let's see. That already does cover the agenda, because this would be the final slide. We've got 20 more minutes. If there's some topics, some questions, views or thoughts, don't hesitate.
I can come back on that topic that we addressed just now regarding deep funding. I was just thinking about it. If we are putting significant tasks out there for deep funding, and we are also using the deep funding treasury for that, for the rewards of those tasks, then it would also have to align to the major condition that somehow that would have to benefit the platform. And we can have a wide definition of that, but somehow that should be in there. So it would be totally disconnected from that. Then it would not be suitable unless we would be paying it from another source. That's just one disclaimer I wanted to add.
And rightfully so, yes. Yeah, definitely. We're not looking to find a backdoor into the deep funding treasury. That's not, yeah.
I think main goal to building a bridge between the ambassadors program and the deep fund is to say, in the best case, the ambassadors would be the people which take a certain responsibility to steward, moderate the community. And the community is needed to build an effective ecosystem. So this approach of teach the teachers to say, oh, okay, which teachers does the SingularityNET ecosystem actually need? How do we generate those experts, those teachers, and how can we make them sustainable? So once they get teachers and they get a really strong experience, then they start to build own projects, right? And they are not able anymore to moderate the community and to support. To say them as well, how can you keep them sustainable in a certain regard, but on a democratic way where it's not a single entity then who has to decide which of them deserves what, when, and why.
Yeah, I can imagine that is a valid proposal to make. Don't need to go into the details right now, but I can also imagine there are other valid proposals that will help, that are attached to the ambassador and that will help our platform moving forward somehow. And in a further future, yeah, deep funding is supposed to be a DAO, community governed. So every rule in the end can be changed. I'm not looking to start with that right now, but if we have matured more as a community and then in the governance part, then yeah, we can also discuss the best way to use the treasury and the funding of deep funding.
I think what also is important that such a change wouldn't be exclusive for any specific role. To say ambassadors are able to participate and to receive rewards when the community decides and says, okay, it would make sense. But I wouldn't see that much for as exclusive, because I think I understood it right.
Not quite if I understand you right now.
Ah, shit. There we go. Total confusion. Because my
Governance in effect.
I can try to replace, but you can also have another go.
That this community and governance thing, that wouldn't be exclusive for any specific roles as ambassadors, much more for any project in the community coming up. As you said, there might be other ideas around, which might be related to the ambassador program maybe, but maybe coming from a total other group. And that's exactly what I think. It's not about which best group submits, but which best solutions.
Yeah, the only condition there in place is that for deep funding, the goal of deep funding is to make the platform successful. So any proposal that would lead to that goal, that would lead in that direction, is valid for a vote, I would say. And if there is a reason to have additional pools or whatever to bundle a certain kind of proposals, yeah, then I have no objection to that if it makes sense. And indeed, yeah, I can imagine that the ambassador can be a catalyzer of this, or can be a source of ideas and proposals. That, yeah, as you say, it would be a little bit strange to restrict it to people in the ambassador program. All right, we're aligned then. Alrighty.
All right. Are there any other questions or topics we should touch on right now? because if not, we can wrap it up, I think.
One question also a little bit more related to Deep Fund. Do you think there could be one day something like an event from SingularityNET? Like a community event where it's about Deep Fund? What is the purpose? Like a half, let's say, introduction of Deep Fund, but also open Q&A.
And you mean an online event?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. If there is a desire or a need or whatever for such a thing, yeah, for sure, I would be completely open to it. We had an AMA, for instance, some time ago at the beginning of before round 1 to prep it a little bit. There's no reason why we shouldn't or couldn't be doing it again. Thinking about it, I'm a little bit curious how much engagement this whole governance proposal thing this experiment will give us. But if it is substantial, then maybe the end of this program, when we have made our decisions, etc., would be a very good moment for that. Then we can explain what was going on. Then we can explain our decisions and the ratings. Then we can explain what the next steps are, etc. And then, yeah, the way we do that, if it's just an open Zoom where everybody can ask questions, or if it is a kind of AMA or any other way that we feel is appropriate, yeah, I'm certainly open to that. Maybe you can make a proposal for that.
I'm not sure if this is... Not everything needs to be a proposal.
Just kidding.
At the end, the rest of your life is just...
All right. Anybody who's interested from these discussions and wants to know more about experiments and governance proposals, you're welcome tomorrow in the Deep Funding Community Governance Call.
And just for completeness' sake, that is at 16 UTC.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, as Felix put in chat, there's the Zoom link, which can also be found on the community governance channel. All right. Then I think. Oh well, I do want to point out once more, also for the couple of people who joined late. Thanks for joining in. I'll put in the chat a link to the D-Work task for attending this meeting, so you can earn 100 Gimballs. So please do not skip on that, or do, but then you won't get the Gimballs. That's pretty straightforward. And thank you, Tifo, for linking the meeting notes. Amazing. I think that's it. Thanks everybody for attending, and hope to see you either tomorrow on Deep Funding or on this.
It was good meeting you here.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Cheers.